Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? I'm Sinister of the Gamer Section. This is an interview with the dev. Before I go ahead and introduce our guest, hopefully you enjoy our content. Be sure to leave us a like and comment away in the chat. With that being said, go ahead and let our guest introduce himself.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm Ace. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Spain, and I'm solo developing the game Aikode. And yeah, I guess that's all from me.
All right, all
Yeah.
right, all right. First things first. Just start with the beginning. What got you into gaming?
Well, in the gaming, as gaming, it was when I was little. To be honest, well, I was pretty young. I started like playing games in the PS2. So that's
Uh-huh.
when I started like in the gaming industry, I guess, playing games. And well, I really loved games from a long time. So I guess uh, one day I started like doing some stuff related to 3D modeling. It's not gaming, but it's related, right? Like 3D modeling, 3D assets, doing animation and stuff like that. I really
Okay.
liked that, and yeah, I started doing 3D stuff just as a hobby, just because I like it.
All right.
And I was modeling one of the characters, one of my original characters, right? And then I decided to put it in engine. Like I decided to put the character in Unity,
Uh huh.
and that's when everything started. I decided to try more engines, but it was more like random, I guess. It wasn't like
Uh
premeditated or something like that. I just really liked it, like games from a long time ago, and then I started modeling, and that was like how I
Okay.
started like developing games. Yeah, this is my
Okay.
first game, by the way. So yeah,
Okay. Um, that leads me to my next question. Like, do you have like any favorite games? Just probably just name a few that probably stick to your
yeah,
mind.
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of like favorite games, to be honest.
Hmm.
Well, a pretty obvious inspiration from the game too. So it's like near the saga, near Automata, near
Uh-huh.
Replicant. So that
Yes.
I really like those games. But also, for example,
Platinum.
a lot of
Yeah,
yeah,
done by
a lot
Platinum.
of yeah, a lot of also Final Fantasies too, like games of Final Fantasy. I don't know. Uh, I guess I have some favorites there. One of my
Okay.
favorites is actually Final Fantasy 9. It's not,
Okay.
but yeah, but obviously I also love like Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 7. I also like 8, even
Uh huh.
people that don't like it. I also like the saga of 13. There are
Uh
some
huh.
people that also don't like the saga of 13.
Right.
So yeah, Final Fantasy 15 is like kind of, I don't know. I really like some parts of the game, others
Uh
not. But
huh.
yeah, in general, like Final Fantasy saga, I really like the saga in general.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in the past, I really liked Kingdom Hearts too. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but with Kingdom Hearts 3, some parts of me, I didn't, well, something changed with Kingdom
Right.
Hearts 3. I didn't really like the ending, so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, like a lot of games from Square, also like Dragon Quest too. I really like the Dragon Quest saga.
Okay.
I don't know, well, and this is just more for, RPGs, but also like games like from CD Project, like, I don't know, The Witcher 3 or
Uh huh.
well, the typical. I really like it also Cyberpunk, even with all the books and stuff. I really
Huh.
like it in terms of a story. I really like it Cyberpunk too. I don't know. I mean, I really like also games from Rockstar. If I start
Okay.
saying games, I will like say a lot of games. So
Right.
even some games that nobody knows. So yeah, in general, I like a lot of genres, a lot of games. So it's hard to pick like a favorite one. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's really hard. So yeah, there is a lot of, also a lot of inspiration in the
Right.
game with all
I
these
mean,
games out there. Yeah.
oh yeah, because since you mentioned the Final Fantasy series, like I said, seven's my all time favorite, and
Yeah,
of course I enjoy eight. And the last one I played was 10, but I didn't
yeah,
fool with nine because I wasn't feeling it like the story and the gameplay of it. But
mm,
yeah, because 10 was the last one I played and that was it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like RPGs. Like is that like your favorite genre or is just
Well, it's one of my favorite genres because mainly, I mean, especially all the RPGs, because that's something that's been lost with the time.
right?
Especially with all RPGs, you have a lot like all these towns, right? All these
Uh-huh.
interactable areas, and it's like a really big world, and it's really like, I don't know, immersive in a way, right? So I really like that about all RPGs. Um, so
Mhm.
I guess, yeah, I really like the genre of RPG, but also like I also like in terms of combat. I'm not a fan of turn-based combat. I play a lot of games with turn-based combat, but I'm not really a fan. I prefer like more like
Right.
action games or hack and slash. So yeah, in terms of
Yeah, because I'm the same way. I kind of like leaning more towards action RPGs because, like, I'm sitting
yeah,
there. I usually get tired of waiting a turn and go through all these commands and just do all this. So
yeah,
I get what you're saying, but
yeah. So yeah, I will say yeah, it's probably one of my favorite genres. But
okay.
I really like a lot of genres.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there is a lot of nice games in the RPG scene, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get down to the big business. How you pronounce this game? Is it pronounced Aikode or
Yeah,
Icode?
that's a question that it's usually really asked because well the I guess the logical way to pronounce the game it would be like AI code, because you have
Okay.
that point in the middle, but that's not
Okay.
the correct way. But a lot of people pronounce the game like AI code. The real way of pronouncing the game is Icode. Like if you were saying like the name of Ico, like
Okay.
Ico, it's a
Ico.
play on
Okay.
words. Yeah, it's a play on words with that. So you have like the AI that of artificial intelligence, code of code, obviously, and then
Hmm.
iCode. Ico,
Okay.
it's because the protagonist's name is Ico. So yeah, the correct
Okay.
way will be like Ico. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Like, how did the idea come about? Like from beginning. Like, where did the idea come from? Like, inspirations.
Yeah.
Like, any outside inspirations, kind of like inspired you to make this.
Well, in terms of where it come from, like the main idea, it's basically a story I've been reading like for I don't know 7 years maybe. So it's a pretty long like story that I've been planning a long time ago. So that's when everything started. It's more like a saga. I've been planning like a saga. This is like the first game of that.
Okay.
So it's a story with a lot of content in there, right? So, but in terms of the game, what inspired me to create the game, right? Not the story,
Mhm.
but the game
Right.
was basically, to be honest, was Nier Automata. I played the
Okay.
game a second time in PC, I
Okay.
think. And when I finished, I was like, I want to try something. I want to try, I don't know, to put a character in a game engine and do something. So, in terms of,
Okay.
of, of the intros or something like what started everything was when I finished like Nier Automata. It was my second playthrough, to be honest. I played
Okay.
like a long time ago on PS4, but I decided to play again in PC like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And when I finished, I was like, I really like the flow of the animations. I really like how everything moves. I want to try to put I don't know a character and see how everything moves in the engine, right? So
Okay.
yeah, I guess that's what impulsed like the actual development of the game, right?
Okay. As far as like development goes, what engine did you use?
So yeah, the thing I started in Unity.
Okay.
That's when everything started. But I decided to change because there were a lot of things that I didn't know how to do. I know it's
Okay.
possible, but I didn't know how to do it, and there were not enough tutorials about that. So I
Hmm.
decided to change the engine to Real Engine because there were more tutorials focused in some aspects that, are, for example, in shading, in hair shading, all of this.
Okay.
So I decided to change to Real Engine 4, and then when Real Engine 5 launched, I changed everything to Real Engine 5, and nowadays I use Real Engine 5 for the game. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because how challenging is it just like to develop everything, like the coding, like the shading, just a few examples I just wanted to throw out there, like trying to design your game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard, like in terms of developing a game like this, right?
Uh
Because
huh.
this has a lot of layers in terms of it's not really realistic, but it's semi-realistic. So it has a lot of details, for example, in the skin and stuff like that. So it's challenging in a lot of aspects. Also in terms of level design, that's probably the hardest thing because well, it's kind of open. I wouldn't say it's an open world, but it kind of has some aspects of an open world, right? You have like these open areas, it's vertical and horizontal, so there is a lot of verticality, a lot of open areas, so you can even like fly. So
Okay.
it's really hard to come up with a level design. That's probably the hardest thing. In terms of character and modeling and all of that, it's something that I've been doing for 3-4 years maybe.
Uh-huh.
So it's something that right now it's not that difficult to me
Okay.
because it's something that I've been doing for a long time. But yeah, also in terms of programming, it's at least for now, it doesn't like I didn't have experience, but for me at least, isn't that complicated, right? At least the things that I've been doing, like the combat, the menus, the systems, and everything, it's not that hard for me. So I guess the most challenging thing, it's probably the level design right now,
Okay.
and the bosses and all of that. So the bosses level design, probably the hardest thing in the game for me
All
right
right.
now. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that leads up to my follow up question. Is like, is there a story or a plot to this game?
Yeah, there is a big story actually. As I said, it's something that I've been planning for like 6-7 years. So
Okay.
it's really a big story that I need like actually more games to finish. So it's probably
Okay.
going to be like a trilogy, maybe.
Okay.
So yeah,
Oh,
it's going to be kind of deep. It starts as something really simple. That's the
okay.
idea. I start with something simple, something that it's easy to follow,
Right.
and then we start adding layers and layers and layers, and everything gets more complicated, right? So yeah, there is a story, but the basic thing, if we want a quick summary, I guess the quick thing, the quick summary is
Okay.
basically, well, you have this android was created from a human, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an android created from the head from the human. Like you get a human and you create an android from that human, basically. And the thing is, she doesn't remember anything.
Okay.
So that's the point. You start the game with this android that doesn't know anything about you, about the world, just like you,
Okay.
and you start discovering things as the story progresses. At the same time that the android
Okay.
Aiko uh, start finding things, then everything starts getting more complicated. It's really hard to explain something like
Right.
this here.
All right.
But yeah, there is a story. There is a big story. It's a story-driven game. So yeah.
All right. Like, of course, with the presentations, like, I was like, is there like cutscenes?
Yeah,
Of course, audio, and I'm sure you got audio, music, and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to throw that in there, things like that.
So in terms of cutscenes, yeah, there is a lot of cutscenes. Probably there is going to be a really, like in terms of cutscenes, I'm using actually motion capture.
Okay.
So yeah, the thing is the animations in game when you are running and all of that is done like by hand, animated by hand.
Yeah.
But in terms of cutscenes or everything related to the cutscenes, at least if there is not a lot of weird things happening, like conversations and all of that,
Right.
then that's basically done in motion capture, right? So apart from this, there is also like a secondary writer that is in
Okay.
charge of. His name is Tom, and he's in
Okay.
charge of basically doing all the secondary content. That's like the missions and the
Okay.
dialogue, like secondary missions. Sorry, secondary missions, the dialogue of the NPCs, relationship systems for the NPCs, and all of that. So basically, all
Hmm.
the secondary content.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, in terms of sound or music, in this case, in music, there is actually a composer doing like the whole soundtrack of
Okay.
of of Aikode. He's Kevin Simon. I
Right.
don't know if that I pronounced it that correctly, but yeah, he's Kevin Simon, and yeah, basically he's doing all the soundtrack of the game. We are working with that in that together sometimes, and
Okay.
sometimes all, for example, in terms there is vocals in the music, so
Uh
there's
huh.
a lot of vocals and all of that. So I'm in charge of writing like the songs in terms of the vocals, like the lyrics, right? I'm in
Okay.
charge of doing that, for example. But yeah, as I said, in terms of cutscenes, yeah, there is a lot, and in terms of music, well, also there is a lot of music, a lot of cutscenes.
Right.
Probably, as I said, this is like a really story-driven game. So apart from all these cool features and mechanics of gameplay,
Uh huh.
there is a lot of story-driven with cutscenes, with real cutscenes, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that you got some people to help you, even though like
Yeah,
I know like majority of the work is probably done by you. You probably
yeah,
reach like outside help, like probably in some areas that you're probably not familiar with or probably not strong in yet. Like,
yeah. I
uh,
mean, in terms of music,
mhm.
I know some things, but
Okay.
to make like the thing with this soundtrack is there's
Right.
actually a lot of genres. It's not
Okay.
only like one genre like orchestral. There is like free jazz or orchestra. There is like some electronic music too in some parts. There is like I don't know. Well, a lot of genres inside it. Rock.
Right.
A lot of them, right? So you need to know a lot about music to make this possible. And
Okay.
I only knew like this thing, like not really a lot. So yeah, I needed help with that. And in terms of the writer,
Right.
the secondary content is really really big, right? I
Right.
aim to do something similar to like the secondary content of CD Projekt. Basically, for
Right.
example, like the secondary content of The Witcher. Like
Right.
if you play like the secondary missions, the story of the secondary missions is really really nice. Sometimes it's
Right.
even better than main story in other games, right?
Right.
So basically, I aim for that, and that was impossible. It was impossible if I was developing the game, doing the models and everything, writing all this content at the same time that I was doing that was impossible. So I needed help with someone who actually can help me with that, right? So yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
in a sense, I'm solo developing the game, so all
Right.
related to development or
Right.
programming or animation, all of that. At least for now, I'm solo
Mhm.
developing the game, but yeah,
Yeah.
I needed some help.
Yeah. I can understand that. Like I said, like
Yeah,
you want to play, go with your strengths and what you know the best. But
yeah.
all right. My next question is the gameplay itself. Like what's like the mechanics with the gameplay?
So basically, in terms of there is a lot of mechanics, but in terms of the main, for example, the combat is pretty similar to any hack and slash play that your game, like I don't know, Devil May Cry,
Yeah.
Bayonetta, Automata, things like that, with air combos, combos in the ground, a lot of different combos and transitions and stuff like that. So it's mainly, a hack and slash gameplay in terms of combat. There is
Right.
some changing as the story progresses too, but the main core of the combat is that. And then there is other part, like other mechanics that are more related to the live sim elements of the game, right? It's
Uh-huh.
more related to, for example, Persona games or
Yes.
maybe Yakuza Saga. Basically, you have, for example, a relationship system that it's pretty similar to Persona, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you have like secondary content, like more similar to Yakuza, where you can actually interact with the areas, right? For example,
Okay.
you have an arcade, and you can enter in that arcade and play games on the arcade, like different games, like mini games, right? Then you, for example, have fishing. For example, you can go fishing. Then you also have like gardening. You have a housing system, kinda.
Okay.
So you have a lot of these live sim elements going on. A karaoke, similar to like Yakuza and Persona in that sense. So you have these two type of different parts in the game. One is the combat, there is a lot of action
Uh-huh.
with hack and slash, and then you have like this live sim simulator, basically, of a lot of mechanics. But in terms
Okay.
of core gameplay, yeah,
All right.
the combat is basically hack and slash.
Yeah, is there like a progression system, like the way like you level up your character, probably get more powerful as like it, probably
Yeah,
later in the game gets more challenging?
yeah. So well, there is actually a system, so you can actually improve what you want from the character, right? For example,
Uh-huh.
you start with a lot of combos. Basically, you have like almost everything unlocked, basically, but you can improve that. You can add, for example, more combos to one of the, or you can unlock more combos. You can unlock maybe more flying time, because, for example, for the flying, you have
Uh-huh.
like a restriction, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
you can fly like forever. It's more
Right.
related to, you can fly maybe 7 seconds, something like that.
Right.
But you can increase that time, for example. So you can increase all these values as you progress with the level. You have like these points or chips or whatever you want to call it, and you can improve your character as you want, right? And then you
Right.
also have obviously different weapons. There are like 6 different weapons, and then variation of these 6 different weapons. But these 6 different weapons is basically um, every weapon is like a completely different anim set, right? So, for example, you have a big sword. For example, you have like, I don't know, these different weapons, like 2 swords, maybe. So yeah, basically, you have all these different weapons that also add more layers to that
Okay.
customization, right? I guess that in terms of leveling, yeah, you have leveling, but the nice part is actually like customizing like your character in terms of what you want or what do
Okay.
you prefer.
All right. Is there like finishing animation? Say like games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta come to examples. Like usually you come to enemy, you do all your combos, and when it comes like to the finisher, like is there like a finish animation where you can just
Yeah,
go for the go for that
Yeah,
kill, just take him out.
there's actually some finishes also similar to Bayonetta, where you have like all these kind of finishers animations. So yeah, there is some of them actually. But yeah, the way of doing them is pretty simple. It's like similar to Devil May Cry, Bayonetta. So it's the
Okay.
same type of mechanic, but yeah, you also have like these finisher animations for the characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a little side question. It's like, are you gonna like throw Easter eggs in there, like little hints, like probably something that you enjoy? You just probably want to throw in there, like for reference, like something like
Yeah,
your
yeah.
favorite games and stuff like that.
Actually, there is a lot of references, not only from games, shows, and even some things related to the internet. So
Right.
you will be able to find a lot of little Easter eggs, references, and stuff like that. For example, there is this main this one area, for example, Shibuya, right?
Uh huh.
Shibuya is basically a replica of the real district of Tokyo, like the
Uh huh.
Shibuya place. So basically, it's the same thing. It's a replicated zone, but in the game. And there is actually a lot of billboards in this place, right? So you can actually find a lot of references in those billboards. For example, that's just an example of where there are Easter eggs. But yeah, there will be a lot of these little Easter eggs related to even other indie games that are being developed right now. So
Okay.
yeah, you will be able to find a lot of cool things. The
Okay.
Shibuya billboards is just an example and the easiest one because it's easy to see. But yeah, there will be a lot of reference from things that I love and things from that I love from internet, from the show, from shows, and
Uh
from
huh.
other games. So yeah.
All right. That goes to my next question. What platform are you gonna play? You gonna put this on? Like, are you gonna put it on
Yeah.
PC, like via like Steam or Epic Store or GOG, for example?
Yeah, so in terms of platforms, well, we have like the PC,
Mhm.
basically Steam, all these places, PC,
Mhm.
Epic, GOG, and then there is also a release planned for PS5, digital
Okay.
and physical release, PS5 and Xbox Series 6, like the
Uh-huh.
two next-gen consoles.
Okay.
And there is also a part of me that want to release this game on a portable, like maybe a future Nintendo Switch or something like that.
Well, okay.
So probably there will be an, a release for something like that if that's possible in the future. But that depends a lot on the port and if it's possible or not. So
Right.
I can confirm that, but I can confirm that PS5 and well, the next gen consoles will have a release too. And also, a lot of people ask me questions if this game will be in, like in PS4. The thing is, it's possible it can run on a PS4, but the thing
Right.
is, I don't know if when I release the game, the market will be like on PS4
People
will
already
be
moved
like,
on.
yeah, exactly. People will move on eventually, right? So I don't think, for example, 2 years or something like that, people will still keep playing on. It will be a similar situation to the PS3, PS4, right? So I don't
Right.
think, but it's possible, but I don't think it will be. I don't
Not
know.
probably not right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. So if I were to release it now, yeah, probably. But in the future, I don't know. So, but yeah,
Right.
in terms of consoles, next gen consoles and
Okay.
PC, yeah.
All right. Oh, here's like a scenario. Like, say your game was successful on all platforms, like PC, PS5,
Mhm.
Series S and X. Like, do you ever plan on doing like is a game gonna have expansions or DLC? Probably to
So
extend the story.
in terms of DLC and expansions, uh, I don't think so because I want to offer like a full story in terms of the game. I don't want
Right.
to then do DLCs. And in the case if there is, for example, a DLC, will be completely free,
Right.
so you won't pay for anything in terms of that. So
Okay.
probably there won't be more expansions or DLCs. But my plan is to keep going on with the story. As I said, it's kind
Right.
of I plan like a trilogy.
Okay.
I want to say also that it's a closed ending, so the game has a closed ending. It's not like it's open or something like that.
Right.
But anyways, like, and the cool thing about this trilogy is you can play any of the games. You don't need to play the others. But if
Right.
you play every game, then you're going to enjoy it more, and everything will make more sense. But the thing is,
Okay.
it's more like you can play them separately, but at the same time, if you combine them, it will be a better experience, right? So I plan to expand the story,
All right.
but with other games, right?
All right.
It will be like a trilogy, so it will be this game and two more, and that's when I finish that. That's the ending for the saga.
All right.
So nothing more, no more expansions or DLCs or something like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, But that's basically all the questions I have. Like I said, I enjoyed this interview and hear your experience about this game. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you when this game is gonna plan to drop? Is it sometime next year or the year after that? Like, what's this like? What's the completion of it?
Oh, so yeah. I say sometimes I don't have like a real like
Timetable.
release date in
Hmm.
mind. Obviously, it's really hard. But I guess it will be like more 2 years more of development, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of things to polish, a lot of things to add, a lot of characters, a lot of cutscenes. So it will
Okay.
be 2 years of full time development on the game.
Okay.
I think that's like the maximum,
All
but
right.
I can be sure. But I guess it will be that or a little more, but not more. I think it won't be more like 3 years. I guess it's two
Right.
years, maybe 2 years
Okay.
and a little more, a couple of months. But yeah, I would love to release a demo,
All right.
but it's sometimes really hard to correctly encrypt the game. So
Right.
if I release the demo, pretty soon people can, I don't know, extract the game, find stuff. I don't know.
Right.
So I'm not pretty sure about releasing a demo publicly. So if I find a way to do it correctly, like the encryption
Right.
and everything, and make it secure, almost super secure, then yeah, I will release a demo
All right.
soon. But that depends on also in like how everything works in terms of the encryption and all of that. But yeah,
Okay. Well, like I said, that concludes everything. Yeah. Before we head out of here. Yeah. Do you want to give your social medias out there where people can find you from, or
oh
follow you?
yeah, basically, um, it's the name
Mhm.
iCode
Okay.
or iCode or AI code with
Okay.
K
Okay.
with K instead of C. It's like a misspelled version of code.
Yep.
And then you put AI code or iCode game.
All
And
right.
that's I guess that's all the social media. All the social media has the same username.
All
And
right.
YouTube is just iCode. In Twitter is iCode game.
All
In
right.
Instagram is iCode game. And I think in TikTok I also think it's iCode game. I don't know. I think so. I think everything is iCode game, so it's pretty easy to find when you put the name right. So
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, that's all the social media. It's pretty easy to find. And then I also have a Discord server.
Okay.
It's easy to access if you go just to Twitter. It will
Okay.
be pretty easy to find like the actual Discord link to the server, and then you can talk to the composer in there. It's the secondary writer. A lot of people right now. We
All
have
right.
like uh, quite a lot of members, and well, there is also me. So if someone wants to ask me something, that's the best way, I guess, to find me, right? So
All
yeah,
right. All right. All right, folks. Yeah, I'm your host, Sinister. You can find me on my social media as well. My Twitter handle is right there on the screen, Conjure19. I'm also on Instagram. It's Sinister1019. Again, this concludes the interview with the dev. So I hope you all enjoy your holiday. For those who are traveling, have safe travels out there. Other than that, we're out.
thanks.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.